You're not worthy. This is something that many people have in their minds that they tell themselves. And this trickles over into different parts of their life, both personally and professionally. In fact, it can cause people to feel like they're not good enough in their business or in their relationship or in their social situation. It can cause people to feel like they don't deserve what they have, and it can also hold people back from showing others how great they are by putting themselves out there. So this can cause a lot of problems, as you can only imagine, not just personally, but also professionally as well. Hey there, I'm Dan Candell. I'm known worldwide as the Anxiety Relief Guy, and I specialize in helping business professionals, high-level entrepreneurs, CEOs, and executives have more breakthroughs than breakdowns by doing the inner work they need to do so that way they can finally pull over, get off the struggle bus at the next stop. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the work that I do with people who have that dreaded imposter syndrome. Let's get into it. Recently, I got a flood of people all reaching out for the same thing, imposter syndrome. And it's very common for people who own businesses or entrepreneurs or even have like higher level positions to sometimes feel like, number one, I don't deserve what I have because there's other people that I feel are better than me at doing the job that I do, even though I got hired for the job. Or number two, it really holds people back in their businesses that they own for themselves because they feel like, ooh, I don't know if I should be talking about this because what if there's somebody who knows more about this than I do? And it can be really limiting for people. One of the first questions I ask when I first talk to people who have imposter syndrome is, where does this manifest in your life? Like, where does it spill over to? And for most people, like I said, it's professional. But for people, as we start talking more, they say, you know what, it actually does trickle into my personal life as well. And for some people, it trickles into their relationship with their spouse or partner. For others, it trickles into their social life with their friends, where it's like, well, sometimes I just don't feel comfortable like speaking up or speaking my truth or talking about certain things because I just feel like I'm going to be criticized, or I feel like, who am I to talk about this? So those are some of the questions I ask, and it really helps people gain deep insight to show that it's more than just a professional issue. It can also affect your personal life as well. There are times where I have to turn up the pain point a little bit to show people like, yeah, this actually, it really is kind of bad, and I really should be doing some inner work on myself to resolve this. So that way it doesn't spill into every area of my life if it hasn't already. So some of the other questions I ask people who experience imposter syndrome is, have you had any trauma? And this is a really interesting question because a lot of people think of trauma as something really, really bad that happened, like a significant loss or a tragic death, or maybe some type of assault, or even some type of abuse. I don't want to say the word because I might get flagged. So a lot of times people think that's what trauma is, but that's not all that trauma is. Those are like big T traumas. Those are life-altering events. However, there are often these little things that pop up that we don't really think could contribute to the issues that we have today that actually are the cause of some of the issues that we have today. For example, there were actually two clients that really resonated with this recently, and both of them had a parent who was an alcoholic. And because this parent was an alcoholic, they were a very good parent. They say they had a good childhood. It's just that their parent would get physical with them when they did something wrong. Now, how do you think a 6-7-year-old would interpret a parent being physical with them? I did something wrong and I'm not good enough, and there are going to be consequences. And the consequences are going to hurt, right? So when you're younger, that's how your brain interprets it. It's, I did something wrong, and when I do something wrong, I'm going to get hurt. Like something or someone is going to hurt me. So guess what? Your little 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old brain sucks that in. It absorbs it in like a sponge soaks up water. And it then starts generalizing it to other areas in your life. And you might say, well, if I say something wrong here in this situation, even as an adult, I'm going to get hurt and I'm going to experience pain. I'm going to experience discomfort. And those can be trauma responses that sometimes we don't think about. And that was the case with two specific people that just joined my program this week, and it's only Tuesday, because they were finally able to look at, wow, those little traumas, they were more than what I thought they were. They weren't as little as I thought they were. They were actually significant events. There are also traumas that can happen in our adult life that can influence us as well. For example, shame and embarrassment, which can also lead to imposter syndrome. One of the people that just joined my program, she said to me, "Oh, Dan, I was giving a presentation at work and they asked me to speak about this topic that I should know about. And I actually just kind of lost my words. I didn't know what to say because it was something I actually didn't do a lot of research on like I should have. And I kind of crashed and burned, and everyone felt bad for me afterwards. And it was just such a painful experience to feel that way." So something like that could actually wake up an old trauma that was lying dormant, or that in and of itself can be a new trauma that was presented. That can, again, bubble into imposter syndrome. Now, some people say, well, I didn't really have any of those things that happened in my life. I'm like, I completely understand that you may not have, or you may not remember it, which is totally fine. You also don't have to remember traumas in order for them to affect you today. You don't have to consciously remember them because they live inside of your body, they live inside of your nervous system, and they live inside of your mind, living rent-free. There's one other part of imposter syndrome that some people don't think about, and it is the fear of disappointing people. That's right, that's something else that can hold us back from moving forward in our business, in our relationship, even with friends, is we are sometimes afraid of saying something or doing something that is going to cause conflict or chaos, something that might upset or disappoint someone, and that someone might disagree with. Now, that's okay that other people disagree with us, but we often learn from a very young age that conflict, confrontation, and disappointment is a negative and a toxic and a painful thing to deal with. And you know what? It's not always comfortable to deal with that. However, when we see it for what it really is, a conflict means that there's something that needs to be paid attention to in order to resolve. Chaos means that there's a lot going on, and again, it's something that we can eventually solve. And disappointment, that is about a difference of opinion. I often say to people, well, if you're disappointed by something that everybody else enjoys, that's an issue, not an ish-me. Now again, I don't say that in an arrogant way. It took me a long time and it took me some deep inner work in order to get there. And sometimes it still does poke the bear. Sometimes when I know I'm disappointing people, it still does bother me a little bit. In fact, there was an event recently that I had to make some adjustments to. And yeah, a couple of people got upset. However, there was nothing I could do about it. I did everything I could do to make sure that as many people as possible were happy, and a few people got upset by that. And that's not something that's in my control because we can't be everything to everyone. And the more we understand that and the more we accept that, the more of a balanced and mentally healthy life and business we can lead, and the more passion we are going to feel talking to the people that our message is meant for. Now, I know that I am not for everyone. I have a personality that does not resonate with everybody. But guess what? You watching this also have a personality that doesn't resonate with everyone. But I can almost guarantee you that you resonate with more people than you do not resonate with. You turn on more people than you turn off. That is awkward depending on how you think about the words turn on. Anyway, moving forward. So if we can't have fun, what's the purpose of watching these videos, right? So here's the thing that's really important to remember specifically in regards to imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, it does not mean that something is wrong with you. it does mean that something probably happened throughout your life that may have triggered this way of thinking, these feelings, and this way of believing. And when you start to do some insight and some inner work around it, it can really help you blossom and come out of your shell. So that way, when you do eventually end up disappointing people, when you do end up eventually poking the bear, when you do eventually end up realizing like, oh, there is somebody out there who could do this better than I could, or maybe not better, but different, that's okay. I accept that. I accept that there are things that I say that there are people out there that could say them better, that there are different things that I do that people could probably do better. However, the people that follow me and the people that like the way I do those things might not like the way the other person does them that I would perceive as them doing it better. I hope that makes sense. In my head, it made sense, and I tried to make it come out in a way that made sense, not just in my head, but as I was saying it, hopefully make sense. Anyway, moving forward. So, all you need to know is that if you feel like you are not worthy, if you feel like you're not good enough, if you feel like there's somebody else out there that can do it better, if you feel like you don't deserve what you have, or if you feel like, oh no, what if I get found out? Like, what if people realize that I really do have imposter syndrome? Guess what? You're human. The only thing that people are going to find out is that you're human and you have human emotions. These are things that bubble up. But instead of getting stuck inside of that challenge, instead of getting stuck inside of that problem, we can work through that challenge. All it takes is some inner reflection, and it takes some inner work. And that's all. It can actually be done quite easily, where you don't have to go to years and years and years of therapy, or take mind-altering medications, or attend 52 self-help seminars, or watch 82 TED Talks in order to resolve this. When you do the inner work is a perfect reflection of how you can work through challenges instead of get stuck inside of them. So with that said, my friends, if you would like to join the program that I do to do some inner work, we have an amazing and beautiful community. And all you have to do is reach out to my client connection specialist. This is a person that is really good at gaining insight into specifically what's going on, what has been going on with you, so we can best recommend how we can help you, or if we can help you, because that's all it's about. It's about just getting some more information from you so we can learn a little bit more about you, so we know exactly what we would do to help out, how we can help out, and if we'd be a good fit. So all you have to do is, there should be a link in the description, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in my program, or even just leave a comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you think about imposter syndrome. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and happy healing. Thanks for joining me on the Anxiety Relief Revolution. Make sure you follow me on TikTok @Anxiety Relief Guy and on Instagram @Dan Candell. If you watch this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, comment, and hit that like button. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, make sure you subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It helps me help you and help more people. And as always, be well, do good, and be true to who you are.